Welcome back to the Injury Prone Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Edwin Porras, Dr. Physical Therapy, Medical, and FantasyPoints.com. This is my handy assistant, Mr. Fish. I am on vacation. I'm taking a few days for the first time in a really long time, so my setup's a little out of whack. That's also going to affect those of you who've been asking for timestamps. If you want timestamps, I promise we're going to get there. We're trying to be consistent with it. But it's just not today is just not the time that we can. Well, actually, maybe I might be able to do the timestamps. We'll see. So if I look down at my phone, it's because I'm putting it on my phone, just so you know, for the YouTube audience. Last thing, reminder, go down to the show notes. Go to the Injury Prone Draft Guide and Playbook. That's all you'll need to manage your season-long leagues. You follow me on Twitter, you buy that guide, I promise you it's going to be the best thing you do. You'll win your props more often. You're going to hit. Your fantasy leagues are going to do better. If you don't like it, if you hate it, I'll give you your money back. I've never had one person ask for their money back. So if you want it back, let me know. Just go and try it. Go down to the show notes. So here we are. Nico Collins. I mentioned on Tuesday, I believe it was, that I was nervous about Nico Collins, and he's now on IR. It's going to depend on how the Texans play this, but he's going to miss at least 4 weeks. I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked at when the Texans' bye week is, but obviously he needs to miss 4 games, not necessarily 4 weeks. And we know that this injury is pretty severe. Now, last year, people will compare this to Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, he spent 8 weeks to get back, and some of that was because of the placement of the bye week, and obviously the Vikings weren't necessarily playing for much there at one point or another. So really what we can expect from Nico Collins is probably a shorter time frame than Justin Jefferson from last year. And like I said, last year, based on my data going back to 2018, Justin Jefferson was the first dude who took that long in the season to come back. The Vikings really took their time with him, which is still possible for the Texans. They can still take 8 calendar weeks, but I really don't necessarily anticipate that it's going to be that long, especially if the Texans are competitive. I think this might be closer to the neighborhood of somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 weeks where we'll see Nico Collins back. And re-injury is obviously a risk. And with Nico in Dynasty, I'm definitely nervous about him. If anybody's interested in, I can get a, first round draft picks, first, maybe two second rounders. I don't know. Depends on how you value him, how your league values him, et cetera, et cetera. It's hard to say, but I just don't trust Nico Collins and his soft tissue injuries moving forward. So that's it on Nico Collins as I put him down in my notes, minute 1. And the next guy, now we'll move on to week 6 here, is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is, he plans to play based on what we know, and he's coming off of that high ankle sprain. It's been a while for him, but what you see with these high ankle sprains, you see that these players can come back, but they provide a decent floor, but they're not going to win you your week. The week winner rate is about 8%, which is pretty low, right? On average, you see about a 20% week winner rate in healthy players. So he's going to provide you some sort of floor, but expect about a 10 to 15% dip in production for Joe Mixon. And a re-injury is always a possibility, but I do expect him to play this week. Next guy here is Zack Moss. So Zack Moss, this is why video is not diagnostic, right? So Zack Moss looked like he suffered a high ankle sprain. Really, it ended up being a foot issue is what they're listing it as. And if we believe the Bengals, which the Bengals do some funny business, so, is what it is. If we believe the Bengals, this is a foot issue. We don't know the severity. Realistically, 9 out of 10 times, if it's not super severe, and even if it's still painful, guys will try to play through this stuff. We don't know how severe or how intense this injury is for Zack Moss. So it's something that you're going to want to monitor. I'm still putting Chase Brown in, tournaments, DFS tournaments. I'm still probably leaning Chase Brown if you have to choose between one or the other. Obviously, you're probably not starting both. You probably shouldn't start both. And I would start Chase Brown because we need to see what this injury, how severe it is for Zack Moss before we can make any, big assumptions about what's going on there. Last guy I want to talk about here is Christtian Watson. Christtian Watson has a medial ankle sprain. Thanks to some Twitter docs on the internet. We know because it comes from his dad, right? Christtian Watson's dad let us know it's a medial ankle sprain, MRI confirmed. Now, these can still be really tricky, right? These can still be painful, and he can still have issues playing. He can still have issues pushing off, right, cutting. But like we've seen with Christtian Watson in the past, it takes 1 or 2 end zone targets, 1 or 2 big plays, and he'll pay off. He's not a cash game play. He's more of a tournament play. And based on the injuries and bye weeks, you probably have to start him. I'm probably going to start him the couple places that I have him. And that's just, It is what it is. Unfortunately, you just have to trot him out there. If you want to know more about what's going on with Devin Singletary, if you want to know more about what's going on with James Cook, if you want to know why Michael Pittman was allegedly going to be placed on IR, came out to practice, etc. I mean, if you want to know all that, go to fantasypoints.com. Go to the injury report, the Week 6 injury preview. Read what I have to say there. Other than that, that's what we got for you here in Week 6. Good luck.